All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking the life of one of history's absolute greatest military commanders, Hannibal Barca. From his childhood all the way to his dying breath, this guy's entire life was fueled by one single relentless objective: destroying the Roman Republic. He wasn't just an enemy, he was Rome's ultimate nightmare.
Never be a friend of Rome. According to the historian Livy, this chilling blood oath was sworn by a 9-year-old Hannibal to his father Hamilcar. I mean, talk about setting the stakes early, right? This single moment established a deep personal vendetta that would completely define the rest of his life.
Section 1. The Oath Against Rome. Building a New Empire.
Moving into Section 2. Crossing the impossible Alps. A catastrophic miracle.
So to attack Rome, Hannibal made one of the boldest decisions in military history. Instead of a naval battle, he chose a shocking land invasion. Just think about the sheer massive scale of this force for a second. We're talking 90,000 infantry, 12,000 cavalry, and yes, 37 war elephants. He drove this massive army out of Spain, through Gaul, and straight into the Alps. And this wasn't a scenic hike. They marched directly into catastrophic avalanches, freezing weather, starvation, and hostile mountain tribes.
The brutal attrition of this crossing literally cannot be overstated. By the time Hannibal finally descended into Italy, his 90,000 infantry had been reduced to just 20,000 survivors. But here's the thing. This impossible survival story completely stunned the Roman Republic. Against all odds, the war was suddenly right on Rome's doorstep.
Which brings us to Section 3. The masterpiece at Cannae, Rome's worst disaster.
After absolutely dominating some early ambushes at Trebia and Lake Trasimene, Hannibal found himself facing seemingly impossible odds at Cannae in 216 BCE. Rome fielded a massive 80,000 soldiers against Hannibal's 50,000. On paper, Carthage stood absolutely no chance against that heavy Roman infantry. So how exactly do you win that? Well, you outthink them using what's called a double envelopment. First, Hannibal deliberately let his center bend backward under the intense Roman pressure. As the Romans eagerly pushed forward into this trap, Hannibal's African infantry swung inward, pinching them on the sides. And then, finally, his cavalry swept right in from behind. This smaller force completely surrounded the massive Roman army on literally every side. The result was utterly unprecedented. Somewhere between 50,000 and 70,000 Romans, including several consuls and senators, were slaughtered in a single day. The mechanics were so brilliant that military academies all over the world still study Cannae today as the absolute gold standard of encirclement. It remains one of Rome's worst disasters.
Up next, Section 4. Rome's Ultimate Revenge, the Turning Point.
Now, this begs a massive historical question, one you might already be wondering about. How on earth can a commander annihilate army after army on Roman soil and still not capture the capital city itself?
Honestly, it came down to logistics and sheer Roman stubbornness. Hannibal lacked siege equipment, his army was exhausted, the Roman walls were formidable, and Carthage sent him zero reinforcements. But, crucially, Rome adopted. They flat out refused to surrender, and instead adopted the Fabian strategy. The idea was to avoid major pitched battles, attack his supply lines, and slowly starve and weaken Hannibal's forces over a decade. It's a doctrine so incredibly effective that the term is still heavily used in modern military and political campaigns today.
While Hannibal was bogged down in Italy, Roman commander Scipio Africanus struck back, invading North Africa. This bold move forced Hannibal right out of Italy and led directly to the Battle of Zama in 202 BCE. And here, Scipio actually used Hannibal's own tactics against him, handing the legendary general his first major battlefield defeat and finally ending the war.
And finally, Section 5, the legacy of Hannibal, winning immortality.
After the war, Hannibal actually became an effective political reformer, fighting corruption back in Carthage. But Rome's lingering fear eventually forced him into a life of exile. Cornered by Roman agents, he remained totally defiant. Rather than submit to capture, he chose to drink poison, delivering this incredibly sharp final quote: "Let us relieve the Romans from the anxiety they have so long experienced, since they think it tiresome to wait for an old man's death."
Which leaves us to ponder this totally fascinating paradox. Can you be considered history's greatest commander if you won the battles but ultimately lost the war? Hannibal's tactics went on to inspire everyone from Julius Caesar to Napoleon. He essentially shaped the military mind of the very empire that defeated him.
It's a legacy proving that sometimes the brilliance of the strategy outlives the war itself. Thanks for checking out this explainer, and keep questioning history.